Well, we said that banks have been giving out unstable loans to increase profit, but what should the government do to prevent banks from failing?
Well, most people know that in this financial crisis, the banks were bailed out by the government. But where did all this money come from? I mean, it was taxpayer dollars, and so, I mean, the taxpayers basically bailed out the banks. So it's like the citizens of the United States take responsibility for the mistakes that the banks have made. Which, I mean, it doesn't seem that fair. And if it's possible, if this ever happens in the future, for the banks to bail themselves out, I think they should accept this responsibility. And this would definitely be possible if we implemented a bank insurance tax, which basically every year that the bank has excess profit, we would tax only on that and put that to the side. And then if a recession or anything happens again and the bank's not making profit, we can give them back the same money that they've already paid in tax to help them out or whatever. So basically, instead of like relying on the U.S. citizens, the banks would take responsibility and they would basically bail themselves out of the mess.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think this is a really good idea. With this current bailout, it's $700 billion, and the government doesn't have this money. We already have a huge national debt. So this would really help with that, and it would just like help our country get out of a recession faster if a recession happens to happen in the future, which it most likely will.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with that. Again, another good idea. But our government has this tendency to spend money that it shouldn't. And one good example is Social Security. We all know that what Social Security is. While you're working, your nice paycheck, you give a little bit towards retirement, depending if you live that long, to enjoy that money. But eventually when it's time to retire, the idea is the government will start giving you a portion for a certain at periods of time, and you'll be using it for whatever you may need to use it on. But unfortunately, well, what the government did with the extra money that it got from Social Security is it started paying our national debt. It's ridiculously big, but the government didn't have a right to grab the extra money that they made off Social Security and to pay off our national debt. And that's one of many examples where the government uses money that it shouldn't be. And I think this is just another great tool to use to get some more money. Of course, in the beginning, they're going to collect the money and they're not going to touch it. But when they really need it, come on, they're going to take it.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, no government's perfect, and our government really is not an exception to that. There's been mistakes made, but I think actually using your example of Social Security, I think that's almost the perfect example of like a learning experience. I mean, the government and most Americans actually realize that it is running out and that they should have been saving it. And I feel like this is like the perfect opportunity for the government to kind of make up for this. I mean, they've learned their lesson, I think, and we're just gonna have to save it in case of they're not going to use it in case of an emergency. They just need to be more responsible with the money.
Well, Kelsey, I have to agree with Jerry on this one. As you can see throughout history, that our government doesn't always spend the money on the right things, and our congressmen and politicians nowadays only care about their next election. And with that in mind, they do whatever they can to get votes from the people. And unfortunately, we as Americans, we like to have a lot of public services, but we don't like to pay taxes for them. So that will lead to more government spending and increase in national debt, which will ultimately lead to the temptation of using the money, the extra money to pay off the national debt.
Well, Joey, to back Kelsey up, obviously, yeah, the politicians and congressmen in the White House and wherever, sometimes they don't make the best decisions, but they're living in this recession too, so they need to think about what's going to benefit them and the rest of the citizens. So I think they should really consider changing their policies and just thinking about saving money, because when you get a paycheck, you don't spend it all the first day that you get it. So I think that, these people up there in the government just really need to think about being more responsible and thinking towards the future and future recessions.